Good morning and welcome to today's edition of Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. I'm John Salvatore, your host every week here on this radio station at this time. We're also available as a podcast, as you probably know, on our website, ranchhope.org. That's ranchhope.org. If you've never heard of Ranch Hope, please take a look at our website because we are a nonprofit organization that serves children, youth, and families from all over the state of New Jersey who have experienced extreme trauma in their lives. One of our sponsors of the Wondrous Story radio show, which has been on the air since the 1950s, is South Jersey Water Conditioning. And one of our friend actually is joining us. We have Laurie C. She is owner, along with her husband Barry C., of South Jersey Water Conditioning, newest sponsors here on the Wondrous Story. Laurie, welcome to our studio here on the campus of Ranch Hope. And how are you today?
Good. Hi, John. Thanks for having me here.
Of course. I'm excited to learn a little bit about you, about the organization. So I know that South Jersey Water Conditioning and Ranch Hope have a pretty long history.
Yes.
You know a lot more about it. So how did that whole relationship start?
Well, in my younger years, my dad would always talk about just stories about when he started. I was 2 when he started, and my brother was 5. And he was by himself for a long time on his own truck, and he had a very strong faith. So when he started the business, actually the way he got started, he was camping with a friend. And this friend said, "Have you ever heard of water treatment?" And of course, nobody did. This has been 60 years ago. Nobody heard of water treatment.
Yeah.
So they started a business together, and then eventually his partner left and went on, and my dad continued on. So moving forward, he one time was on a job, and he was going through Salem, and there was a gentleman, younger guy, maybe 17, 18, 16, in that, and he was walking down the street. It was dark, and he was hitchhiking, and my dad picked him up, and he said, "Where are you going, and where are you from?" And he said, "I'm from Ranch Hope, and I'm leaving." So my dad said, "Are you
So it was
sure?"
a youth from Ranch Hope.
It was a youth from Ranch Hope leaving. And he said, "Are you sure this is what you want?" Now, my dad really was not familiar with Ranch Hope at all. And they just talked and chatted, and then he decided to come back. Wow. So that's kind of where the introduction started, and then that's where my dad learned about Ranch Hope. And then it continued on with what was needed, what he could do, and then it grew into even more, bigger ways to help. So it started out small, and then it grew into bigger ways.
Throughout the years, as he got to know Rev, our founder.
Yep, he loved listening to the Rev preach, and always talked very highly of him, and just loved the organization.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had never heard that story actually before. And that is, it sounds like your dad may have been one of the early counselors here at Ranch Hope too. If he's, picking up our youth on the side of the road and bringing them back here. That's an incredible story.
When I was younger, I thought, oh, that's a nice story. But then as you get older and you understand the significance of this establishment and what you do, then it was like, oh, you see God's hands in all of it, and there was a point where my dad, when he started his business, he was working 2 jobs because, of course, you can't just start your business without anything behind it. And he ended up getting really sick. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and he ended up in the hospital. And he had to and the doctor said, "Look, you got to make a decision, one or the other." And that was a big step, and it was a very scary step for my mom, I think, as a woman. Yeah. And you have 2 small children, is he going to quit his job and start this business? And are we going to be okay? So he decided, he prayed, and he said, "Tell me which way to go." And the phone started ringing. So he moved forward, and here we are.
He just had a little bit of faith.
A little bit of faith.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
60 years later. Yep.
And we're celebrating 60 years
60 years now. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's an accomplishment.
Thank you.
For small and for local businesses to make it that long. So if you're just joining us right now, this is Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. I'm John Salvatore, Director of Marketing and Communications. Joining me here at the beginning of today's show, I have Laurie. Laurie is the owner of South Jersey Water Conditioning, one of the newest sponsors here on Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. So in the water industry, there's a lot of things that you guys offer, a lot of services that you offer. I'm thinking of things that I hear a lot in the news and on social media. One is forever chemicals, or PFAS, right?
Yes, PFAS.
PFAS.
Yes.
And so, do you treat that?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And that is a big concern right now. Everybody is very concerned with their health and what's in their water. And we get a lot of phone calls and inquiries that we handle successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so you're able to test it, and
Yes.
treat it, and then test afterwards and prove.
Yes.
Very cool.
Exactly.
And then another thought that came to mind is some of our listeners may be from areas that have well water.
Yes.
So they're maybe more familiar with South Jersey Water Conditioning and your services.
Mm-hmm.
But what about our listeners who have city water connection? What can you do for them?
Yes, we can treat that also. They are also concerned with the chlorine that's in their water from the city. And we can fix that so that they don't have to have that in their water.
Okay.
And it is something for city water people to think about. I think that sometimes there's a trust in the system to do the right thing, and they need to maybe be a little proactive for themselves and their families.
Absolutely. Well, that's good to know, too, because for me personally, I grew up in Salem County, well water.
Right.
Now I live in Gloucester County, city water.
Yes.
And you can smell the chlorine. And
Yes.
I just kind of, that kind of became normalized over
Yes.
time. But maybe I need to give you a call.
Yes, you should.
So what is your service area? Obviously, the name South Jersey Water Conditioning.
Yes.
South Jersey?
South Jersey, we
Okay.
do all down to Cape May. That's a big area right now with city water, and all the counties in South Jersey.
Okay. Very cool. So what is the best way, if we have a listener who's driving in their car right now, what are their next steps, even for me as a city water, what would you call me, a city water user?
Yes.
What would my next steps be to?
You would Google us.
Okay.
Look or go on our website, southjerseywater.com.
Yep.
And you can reach us through that, or call us the phone number that's posted. You would, our customer service reps would answer any questions and then send you to, usually it's my husband Barry or my sons Justin and Ryan would come out and test your water and tell you what you need and give you a quote. And then, if you have any questions, you can always call back and think about it. We offer rentals. That's a big item. People are interested in renting them instead of purchasing them.
Like the water treatment
You can
machines
yes,
and all that? Wow.
You can rent them. And
Okay.
people are very interested in that because you don't have to put a huge amount of money out. You could do a little bit at a time or build up. You could do the whole house. You could do drinking water at your sink, depending on what especially with the chlorine, you would probably go with your
Right.
drinking water.
Okay,
at
so
the
you
water,
work.
at the sink. Yeah.
Sounds like you can kind of tailor a
Yes.
proposal and
Yes.
based on budget and what
Yes.
people are looking to accomplish.
Yes.
You can pretty much.
You just tell us what you're interested in and what you're able to do. And there are grants sometimes available for different situations
Okay.
and different kinds of water. There's grants for different kinds of water.
Perfect. Well, Laurie, thank you for taking the time. We're almost out of time now, but this has been informative and educational for me, and I'm excited. We're going to be having you back on The Wondrous Story. I think maybe a couple times a year. It sounds like you'll be back
Okay.
here in the studio.
Yes, that would be fun.
To share maybe some seasonal updates, and I'm sure throughout the seasons and throughout the year, there's different things we're looking for in our water and
Right.
different testing and stuff
yes.
like that. So excited to have you back here, and excited to have you as our sponsor on Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. We're so glad you're back here, and South Jersey Water is a partner of Ranch Hope again.
Yes, thank you.
Of
I enjoy
course.
it.
So this is John Salvatore, and I've been speaking with Laurie C., who is owner, along with her husband Barry C., of South Jersey Water Conditioning, the newest sponsor here on Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. We will have more of The Wondrous Story coming up in just a minute. For more information about South Jersey Water, visit southjerseywater.com. That's southjerseywater.com.
Last couple weeks in our chapel services, we've been talking to the guys about how important it is to train for godliness. And one of the verses that we've looked at is in 1 Timothy chapter 4. Paul is telling Timothy, one of his students, a protege. He's given him advice, but this advice, goes to us today. He says in verse 8 of chapter 4, he says, physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. So we have been just discussing all the different places that we invest our time, whether it's in getting better at our sport or our job or, our appearance, and just making sure that though those things are important, we don't overemphasize their importance, and we remember that there's greater value in training for godliness than any of those other things. So trying to just stay focused on showing up each day to be remade into His image, and for whatever workouts or training sessions that we may face.
And just to try and be present wherever you are at that moment. That's maybe the hardest part.
John, I think the problem is we just miss a lot of opportunities to train for godliness. Mm-hmm. Maybe we save our workout for Sundays, or maybe in the morning when we wake up, or maybe before we go to bed, before our Bible. But there's so many other opportunities that the Lord wants to mold us and make us into the image that we were created in, the image of Christ. And just staying present, whether you're following young people who are running away, or you are helping to serve alongside of them, at the senior luncheon, trying to stay present.
So if you're just joining us right now, this is Ranch Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. It's been on the air since 1956 on the airwaves here in the South Jersey listening area. We broadcast on this radio station at this time every week. We're on WPG Talk Radio and also on Ascend FM, and we are a podcast as well. You can listen to this episode and previous episodes right now by going to ranchhope.org. At the top of the page, you'll see our missions tab, and you will see radio ministry. If you click on that, it'll take you to our directory of past episodes of this radio show to kind of, if you want to go back and listen to Roger and I and all of the topics that we've covered, in weeks past. I'm John Salvatore, Director of Marketing and Communications here at Ranch Hope, and joining me on this episode is Roger Garrison, our Director of Youth and Adult Ministry. And this episode, we're talking, continuing on our theme about lenses and on perspectives, and we're talking about training. And whether that training is physical with a workout, or whether that training is spiritual and it's growing your spiritual connection, that they're both important, and they're both great ways to grow and to learn. And so, Roger, one of the things that you were mentioning before we started recording today was that so we had our senior luncheon that we did earlier today. You brought a few guys that kind of helped out and did a great job handing out the food and helping out with delivering cookies to the tables and stuff like that. You said those three guys actually attended chapel service recently.
Yeah, those guys come up regularly, which made serving alongside of them so special. We were able to be present with the training session that the Lord had put before us. Mm-hmm. And we also were able to keep in mind what we wanted to look like. When it comes to sports, there's that player that you admire that you aspire to be like. I think everybody needs, hopefully they're picking the right player to emulate, and as a role model who's game to kind of match. But when it comes to just life in general, we have Jesus that gives us the place to look to say, okay, this is me at my best. If I were able to interact with the people around me like Jesus interacted with those around him, then that would be the best me. Like, that's my goal. Jesus tells us that no student ever becomes greater than their teacher, but when they are fully trained, they will be like their teacher. And so, as we were serving, it's just reminding the guys, and they were reminding me, like, okay, let's do our best to be like Jesus to the people and to reflect his image. So yeah, and today was an easier challenge. I know we talked to the guys a lot about the equation stress plus rest equals growth. So you need to work out hard, but then you need rest. You need to be encouraged. You need victories in order to keep pressing on. You don't want to lose all your games. That'll get in the way of your progress. You want to at least win some of them. But if you're winning all of them, that's a problem too. You know, I think of some of the football teams this season that I think they would have been better off if they lost a couple more games during their season. They would have been better by the playoffs. Reminding our guys too that the Lord knows the perfect timing. So if we can stay present in the easy days, he knows when we need to rest. But when things are tough, he also knows the perfect workout. Maybe today's leg day. that might be it. For one of our guys that was there today, yesterday was a difficult challenge. He struggles. And there's a certain trigger for him that usually makes things difficult. Usually later on in the day, when it comes time to get ready for bed, he'll have some sort of issue with one of his staff members, and so over time, he's just become really, really nervous about that time of the day for that workout. And yesterday, I was just really moved. I was able to be around during that time of the day and able to see him in his trial and remind him of what we've been studying up at the chapel. And I was able to tell him, this is a workout, but this is an opportunity. Be present. The Lord is making you into his image. And the staff members that were around that he really has had a disconnect with, that it kind of has been more confrontational lately, and rightfully so, we were able to pray together. And just all of us there, the staff, the young man, and I got a message later on in the evening that his evening had started off on the wrong foot, but it had gotten better, and that's not always the case. So victory, he got stronger yesterday.
Sounds like he grew.
Yeah, he grew. He looked more like Jesus, and it's a little by little transformation. We have so far to go to be like Jesus that it's not going to happen overnight. And so I think that tells us the workouts are going to be super difficult if we're ever going to make it experience the victory that he has for us. So yeah, I was so glad to see my young friend grow yesterday, and then have permission today, which he probably would have lost if he handled yesterday differently, if the Lord didn't step in and help us, for him to be able to serve today, and for me to be able to serve alongside of him.
And for him today, with the smile pretty much the whole time as he was helping out at the senior luncheon, I think I think he needed that today, it sounds like, and deserved that.
The Lord knows what we need. Yep. I think the hard part is believing in the trials that he's doing something beautiful, because a lot of times those trials come from the hands of our enemies. And it's hard to believe in those moments that there's a good God that's even above those circumstances, that's still in control. And I think, even looking back in sport, sometimes you have coaches that maybe their heart isn't where it really should be, and sometimes they push you harder than maybe necessary in certain moments, or maybe the way they speak to you is a little more abrasive than it would need to be. But just like that, believing that there's a greater purpose, and even being able to grow regardless of how your coach is speaking to you. I know with God, sometimes it may seem harsh, His word, or the training sessions, but hey, He is good. If we just give Him a chance, He's preparing us for a trial or a championship match tomorrow that we're going to be victorious in.
So, Roger, what would you say, kind of tying this in, we're still close to the new year. So thinking about New Year's resolutions, everybody goes to exercise and weight loss and this and that. What would you say is a good New Year's resolution for someone that wants to train in this area of their life?
Yeah. So first, getting the definition of godliness right, because that's if you think you're going to be strong using a set of exercises that really is false, then you've started off on the wrong foot. So getting rooted and getting connected with the right trainer, someone who knows your sport better than anything else. So if we're training for godliness, the best trainer that you could have is the only human being that ever walked the face of the earth and never did anything ungodly, that every action was holy and pure and just and pleasing to God. So that would be Jesus. So first, look to Christ to figure out how to get more godly. And then trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a Philly thing. It's a sport thing, but trust the process. Believe when He tells you, hey, do calf raises or whatever it is today. Hey, call your mom that you haven't spoken to in a couple months because of how mean she was to you the last time you spoke with her. Or, maybe turn the other cheek when you feel like you should seek vengeance for something that someone's done wrong. Walking in the light will help. Just staying in the presence of Christ, keeping Him first, seeking to do what is pleasing and like Him, and then showing up. Whatever comes before you this day, whatever challenge, whatever trial, receive it with thanksgiving. And if it's hard, understand that it's God making you into the image you were created in again, and fixing that lens so that people are going to be able to better see Him in you, to the glory of God and His children.
And I would say, Roger, it seems like there's an opportunity every day. There's a training session every day, sometimes multiple training sessions every day.
Minute, John. Yep. Yep.
Opportunities are out there to grow.
Yep.
Well, we're just about out of time for today's episode of Rancho Hope Radio's The Wondrous Story. Roger, could you help us close out today's episode with a word of prayer? And I think you had another a verse that you wanted to share with us as well.
Yeah, in Exodus 23, God, He speaks to the Israelites, and He tells them that He's not going to drive out all of their enemies in a single year. But He is in this promised land that they're so excited about. He is going to drive out their enemies little by little. And I think that just reminds us that God intentionally leaves challenges before us so that with Him we can learn His faithfulness. Over time, we can see we've won, battle after battle after battle after battle, so that our faith in His victory can grow. So, Lord, that's what we ask this day, that You would help us, that if we have another trial, as I'm sure we will, that we will take take it as coming from your hand, and we will also take it with the goal and intention of being made into the image of Christ, believing that that is our best life lived if we are to bear the image of God again in us. So, Father, I pray that you forgive us for the things we've missed, and also I pray that you'd stand us up again and continue coaching us. You show up every day. Father, I pray that you be patient with us as we show up again. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you, Roger. I forgot to mention a little while ago with our senior luncheon that we had earlier today. Our guest speaker this month was Chloe Williams, and Chloe is the president of B.R. Williams, Inc., busing and transportation company right here in Alloway, and she's also our board chair for Ranch Hope, and she gave a great presentation about the history of Alloway, which was enlightening to me. I didn't know a lot of what she shared about the area and where some of the towns got their names from. And what was the one fact she asked? How many businesses are in Alloway? And everybody thinks Alloway is a small town. I think it was 64 businesses that are in Alloway. And when you drive up and down Main Street, like I was thinking 10, 15. Like I didn't think there was that many. Yeah. So
her story, John, was a story of God's faithfulness. There's another one of little by little. God showing himself, and just a woman of great faith, because she's learned to show up for exercises.
She's done a lot of training over the years. And it shows there with the company that they've built, and he's built with them. So thank you for joining us and tuning into today's Wondrous Story. That'll do it for today. I'm John Salvatore, Director of Marketing and Communications, and joining me today was Roger Garrison, our Director of Youth and Adult Ministry. We'll be back on this radio station at this time next week. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you then.